Okay, looks like quite a lot of you have joined, so I might get started because I know it's a pretty tight turnaround. So thank you again. And this morning, I'm obviously going to be talking to you about Sydney, and so lots of you, I'm sure, will be very familiar with Sydney and with the state, but for those of you who perhaps are less familiar, I just wanted to bring up this map just to show you some of the places that I'll be talking about today. So most of the tourism experiences are concentrated along the east coast of New South Wales, and so much of what I'll be talking about is along those sort of coastal driving routes. So great options for road trips and self-drives from Sydney onwards up to towards Queensland in the north, or southwards towards Melbourne and Victoria in the south. So here we are, let's get started. So of course, no visit to Sydney is complete without seeing Sydney's icons. So here's just a snapshot of some of the great ways that you can experience the iconic side of the city. Of course, one of our top tips is to cruise along Sydney Harbour, and there's lots of great ways to do that, whether you take a sort of private, bespoke, you can take some of the hop-on, hop-off options with the likes of Captain Cook cruises, but there's also the great option just to hop on a public ferry as well and explore the water for yourselves. Perhaps take the ferry from Circular Quay to Manly. They do have a few new tours and new experiences that have recently available for those who want to learn a bit more about the building. There's also great behind the scenes tours and other sort of 1 hour daily tours as well. And the Sydney Harbour and experiences in Sydney, and they've also got a couple of new climbs, including their went for the first time, and also their Burrower climb, which is guided by an Aboriginal guide, so a completely new perspective on Sydney Harbour and its fantastic Aboriginal cultural heritage and history as well. Is that you can experience Aboriginal culture around the harbour with great walking tours around Circular Quay and also within the Royal Botanic Gardens. And of course, it's a great spot to dine by the waterside or perhaps just enjoy a cocktail as the sun goes down. The other great famous side of Sydney is, of course, its beach lifestyle. And we've got some fantastic famous beaches on offer, such as Bondi Beach, which is a great place to learn, easily accessed from the ferry from Circular Quay. But there's great ways to explore more beaches in and around Sydney, and there's around 70 or so within the metro area of Sydney itself, so plenty more than than Bondi and Manly. And there's great walking routes along the coastline which help people kind of explore all those sort of smaller and hidden beaches, also the great ocean pools that are available for people to take a dip in as they perhaps might get a bit hot and things on their walk. So a great option for people to get in the water. And again, great options for waterside dining. One of my personal favourites is the Coogee Pavilion down at Coogee Beach. So you can do the walk from Bondi to Coogee, which is just around 6 kilometres long, and then finish up in a great restaurant or bar in the Coogee Pavilion. So to talk a bit more about Sydney's food and wine, of course, it's a great global city with a real mix of cultures and cuisines. So really something for everybody, whether you're a real foodie or whether you're not, just looking for a good bite to eat. And you can get quite a different range of food options as well. So it's not just all about high-end dining, though of course that is a great option when you're in Sydney, such as places like Bennelong, which is a restaurant inside the Sydney Opera House. So a really special place to perhaps have a meal before you see a show inside the Sydney Opera House. But you can also get sort of cheaper eats and street food as well. Places like Spice Alley and Chippendale are a great option. And also Barangaroo, which is sort of the newest precinct in Sydney, has some great new restaurants available too. And it's just between sort of Darling Harbour and Circular Quay, so still very, very central. And there's also great cocktail bars, rooftop bars and distilleries within Sydney, both from a sort of spirits perspective and also wineries. So do check out some of the other options available for those customers that might be really interested in their food and wine. So heading out to regional New South Wales, the Blue Mountains is obviously a top spot for people to visit, whether on a day tour or overnight stay. It's only around 90 minutes drive from Sydney, so really accessible from the city and a great place to get close to nature. It's a UNESCO World Heritage listed national park, so really offers spectacular views and great nature experiences. For those who might be a bit short on time, something like Scenic World is a good option. It has great views over the valley, and you can see a picture here, which gives you a bit of a... And it's also got some sort of short walking routes around the rainforest floor. But for those who do have a bit more time, there's obviously lots of other adventurous experiences that they can take in, such as other longer hikes throughout the national park, abseiling, mountain biking. You can do caving, and just other sort of great walking tours and things like that. And then for those who perhaps would like something a little bit more plush and a little bit more luxurious, then there's great accommodation options such as Emirates' one and only Wolgan Valley, which is about another 90 minutes or so drive from Katoomba, which is the main area of the Blue Mountains that most people imagine when they're thinking of this area. So next is the Hunter Valley. Again, this is another really popular spot for people who are visiting Sydney. It's Australia's oldest wine region, and there's over 150 cellar doors available there for people to try and taste some great Australian wines. It's famous for its Semillon, but there's also great reds and other white wines available as well, and lots of really, really acclaimed wineries and restaurants throughout the region. There's also some from that are part of the Ultimate Wineries of Australia. So for those of you who perhaps joined a masterclass earlier this week, the Hunter Valley can also be enjoyed via one of their experiences as well. And there's lots more besides the wine, great resorts and spas, and also hot air ballooning over the vineyards. You can also take a horse riding tour, or perhaps go cycling through the vineyards. And there's great family-friendly accommodation options as well. So it's not just for the adults, there's also options for children as well. So heading further north, so if you want to take a drive or perhaps plan a drive from Sydney north, you'll be hitting what we call the legendary Pacific Coast, which is a great stretch of coastline between Sydney and Byron Bay in New South Wales. And of course, you can continue on into Queensland for those that want to. It's a really popular self-drive, and for those just looking for, what sort of length of time they should be recommending, we'd certainly recommend between about 4 to 7 nights along this stretch. If you had 4 nights on the route, that would give you no more than 3 hours driving a day. So very, very manageable, very easy for people to do within their holiday. And the real benefit and great experiences that people can expect on this route are great beaches, national parks, and fantastic Aussie wildlife as well. So I'll just take you through some of the key stops. So Port Stephens, you could incorporate the Hunter Valley before you get to Port Stephens, but this is if you just took, a straight coastal drive from Sydney in about 2.5 hours. This is the first major area that you'd reach. And this is a great place for people to experience some great marine mammal watching. They can also do some great hiking in nearby national parks. Mount Tomaree National Park is right on the coastline, so it really has spectacular views out over the bay. For new products, the Port Stephens Koala Sanctuary has recently opened up in the area as well. So for those who want to get close to those cute Aussie critters, then they can do so there, and it also has accommodation options available as well. There's also Aboriginal culture and other adventurous activities on the Stockton Sand Dunes, which is a real site of significance for the Aboriginal people of the region. And you can take a quad biking tour out there, or perhaps go sand duning, sandboarding on the dunes. And you can also take a 4-wheel drive tour as well. So a bit of a mix of culture and adventure. Your next stop would be Port Macquarie, which is about 3 hours or so away from Port Stephens. And here again, you can get up close to the koalas with the Port Macquarie Koala Hospital, which has been around since sort of around the 1970s. So a long established facility that cares for local koalas and really focuses on the rehabilitation of sick and injured koalas back into the wild. So they were really, really crucial facility for during the recent bushfires, and they can explain a lot about how they care for and how they protect the wildlife in the region. There's also great Aussie wildlife at Billabong Zoo in Port Macquarie, and other great experiences like wine tasting at Bago Maze, and also getting out onto the water as well with the likes of Port Jet cruises. Next stop would be Coffs Harbour, which again is around a 3-hour drive from Port Macquarie. And this is one of my great spots to recommend people to catch the kangaroos on the beach. So for those who want to see kangaroos in the wild, this is a great option to head to Emerald Beach. Definitely recommend getting there at dawn or dusk. This is when the kangaroos are most active and sort of, you've got the best chance of seeing them, and you'll see them hopping along the headland like they are here, but also hopping around on the sand as well. So really special for those people that want to get close to the Aussie wildlife. There's also other great wildlife experiences, such as at Dorrigo National Park, which is about an hour or so inland from Coffs Harbour, but a place to experience the Gondwana rainforests of Australia. And also great snorkeling and diving at the nearby Solitary Islands Marine Reserve, which is just a short boat ride out from Coffs Harbour as well. And final stop in New South Wales would be Byron Bay, of course, another famous spot in our state. And here you can experience the really great kind of laid back culture of Byron, with its fantastic sort of yoga, wellness and surf culture, and also great kind of dining options and also wildlife options as well. Definitely recommend getting out onto the water, seeing if you can spot dolphins. The whales obviously go past this spot as well. And Cape Byron, which is Australia's most easterly point on the mainland, is a great place to try and spot them in the water, and also a great place to see the sunrise as well. So heading south, so we're hopping back to Sydney now, and if you wanted to head south from Sydney, you'd hit the Grand Pacific Drive, which starts at Royal National Park, which is Australia's oldest national park, which is about an hour south of Sydney. So for this drive, we'd recommend around 3 to 5 nights. Again, that doesn't give you, lots and lots of driving to do, and you'll be able to really soak up the experiences along this stretch of coastline. And this is really about pristine beaches, beautiful national parks, little historic towns, and also fantastic seafood and local wines as well. So some of the key highlights. First stop will probably be Wollongong. That's another quite large city, so great for surf beaches and another sort of vibrant city culture. You can also do skydiving from here. So for those who are looking for something a bit more adventurous, then you certainly got that covered. For those on the other end of the scale that want something a bit more quaint and small, then Kiama is a great stop as well. Beautiful little cafes there, and it's very close to Minamurra Rainforest as well for those that want to explore the local national parks. Jervis Bay is perhaps the most popular area on this route and on the south coast of New South Wales. Really beautiful white sand beaches and Aussie wildlife again. And for those who have time to head further south still, then definitely make your way down towards Narooma, which has tours available to Montague Island, which is where you can snorkel with those beautiful, playful fur seals and also see little penguins as well.
Thank you very much, Yvonne. Sorry to stop you. We're running out of time. We're only got
That's okay.
left, and we've got a few questions to get through before we go.
Sounds good.
Greg is asking, how easy is a day trip to the Blue Mountains for non-drivers?
You can also take the train, so there is the option to take the train for those who still want to do it independently, but there's also lots and lots of operators available as well that will take guests out to do a day trip of the Blue Mountains. So plenty of day trip options available from Sydney, with lots doing a variety of different pickups from different hotels, so plenty of options available there.
Great, thank you. And Aidan has asked, is whitewater rafting still available in Coffs Harbour?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd have to double check. I'm not sure whether there's specific operators that are still running for international travellers, but I can certainly have a look into that and get back to Aidan as well.
Great. Maybe if he drops you a message via your inbox, then you can get back to him there. That would be great.
Sounds good.
Amanda is asking, how many days would you recommend for taking surf lessons?
Oh, well, to be honest, if you do a sort of 2-hour lesson with someone like Let's Go Surfing on Bondi Beach, they'll pretty much get you standing up by the end of that lesson. So I suppose it depends how comprehensive or how good people want to be. But certainly if you just want to get a taste and find yourself standing up on the board a couple of times, then one lesson actually is quite worthwhile. There are other operators that operate things like sort of a surf school, which will run over several days. So for those who might want to, get a bit more practice in with an instructor, then they can do one of those sort of multi-day experiences as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Our next training session is just about to begin in Training Room 5 with Tourism Western Australia. I see Gary says, great presentation, Siobhan, lots of information in a useful format, so thank you.
Thanks, everyone.